Delightful Dolls here. Quickly before we get started, the shouts for today go to Garden of Dolls, Lana Abdallah, Gracie Corns, Yomi Dolls Show, and Doodle with Me. Thank you so much for commenting, and remember, if you'd like a shout out, all you have to do is comment something nice in my videos or on my Instagram at _DelightfulDolls. So today I have episode 6 of Create This Book because I know how much you guys love seeing my episodes. So we're just going to get started right from where we left off. So the next page is create a growth chart. Figure out a way to show some type of growth. So at first I thought I had an amazing idea and I just went for it. But I soon decided that I absolutely hated it. So because I couldn't think of any ideas, I went on to my community tab where you guys gave me some awesome ideas, but I especially loved Authentic Crafts idea where she said do the caterpillar to butterfly cycle. So I started by drawing a leaf, then I erased it, then I redrew it, and I just continued drawing all of the different stages. I did take a while for me to decide how to draw the butterfly, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. Now for coloring, I wanted it to kind of be like this butterfly in particular is very special from all the others. So for the egg stage, I made it have a whole bunch of regular little eggs next to the large, abnormal, colorful egg that is going to be our butterfly. So then I went on to the caterpillar stage. I honestly really just love this color combination, as you guys will know if you've watched my other videos, which is purple, yellow, blue, and pink. I especially loved how I colored the butterfly as well. And for the border of this page, I wanted to make it a little bit more exciting, so I drew a border and I'm kind of making it look like the design I have on the butterfly wings, so I kind of round off the corners, if that makes sense, and I think it really turned out nice. But it did take a long time. At this point, I remembered my rule for I have to draw a heart on every single page, so I decided to incorporate it in on one of the parts of the border. Unfortunately, I didn't realize that I wasn't really filming it on camera, so sorry about that, but as you can see, I did draw the little heart over here. Now, of course, using that same color combination, I did color in all of the border, which did take a long time, but definitely was worth it. So I'm really happy with how this page turned out, and thank you so much for Authentic Crafts for recommending this idea. And of course, I have the heart in the bottom left corner. For the next page of my Create This Book, it says create a collection. I thought I would do my nail polish collection because, as you guys might already know, I love nail polishes and I have, let's just say, too big of a collection. So on the right side of the page, I wanted it to be where a hand is kind of holding a nail polish that they kind of picked out, I guess. And of course, I have to give them some long nails. Now, I really liked how this hand actually turned out. I'm usually not great at drawing hands, so that was a surprise. On the left side of the page, I wanted to draw a shelf of a whole bunch of nail polishes, just different shapes of bottles and different colors. And I wanted to also have on the right page for nail polish kind of dripping down out of the bottles, if that makes sense. So I wanted to test if gel pen would bleed through the page, so I just put a little dot. And from what it looks like, it does not bleed through the page, so I just continued coloring the nails in gel pens. However, I did realize that yes, it does bleed through, and I guess my experiment was not successful. And because I don't want the left page bleeding through onto the page we just did, I have to cover up all my work. So I cut and glue out a piece of paper, and I glued it onto that page. I did redraw the shelves, and as for the nail polishes, you could still see them through the page, luckily. So I continued coloring the nail polish in on the right side of the page. And I just want to give you guys a close-up so you guys can see how sparkly this gel pen is. It is so nice, in my opinion. I also wanted to mention that the nail polish color is based off of my favorite nail polish color called Rockstar Pink. I know it has a different bottle, but I do prefer the bottle in the drawing, so that's why I switched it up. I was going to actually write Rockstar Pink onto the bottle, but I did change my mind later and just covered it up, as you can see. And I took black to color in the lid, and colored in my hand as well. Next, I'm coloring the nail polish that is dripping down with gel pens. I am using more pastel colors and not so sparkly so that the nail polish on the hand stands out, and I think it looks really good. And I just remembered that we need a heart on this picture, so I'm taking a gel pen and adding a small heart to the ring finger. Now for the nail polishes on the shelf, like I mentioned earlier, you can kind of see through the page, so I just used that as my guide for coloring in all of the nail polishes. And yes, this did take forever, but I do think it was worth it. And luckily, now that we have a second sheet of paper, it does not bleed through onto the other page. Unfortunately, lots of the time my pen would dry out and I had to do a lot of shaking.
Oops.
So I continued coloring in all the rest of the nail polishes, and I think they look pretty good. I like how I have different bottle shapes on every shelf. And once all the nail polishes were colored in, I also did some shading on the actual shelf. So I really like how this page turned out. I hope you guys like it too, and I especially love the little heart and how sparkly everything looks. The next page is create a refusal page, and as you can see, it did bleed through from the other page, but this doesn't really matter that much to me right now because I don't have a refusal to make. So the last and final page is create a bumpy surface. I thought I had a great idea and would use some leaves to put behind the page and basically create a cool texture. So I begin drawing or coloring on top of the leaves, and let's just say I didn't really like how it turned out. The leaves didn't make the right texture that I wanted, and everything kind of went downhill in my opinion. So I quickly gave up on that idea. Time to restart. So I covered everything in paper like I did on the other page earlier, and I'm tracing around the spots where I don't want the paper to cover up and cutting the pages out. Next, to make the bumpy surface that I want, I'm using some harder cardstock-like paper, and I'm going to also punch some leaves out of that same paper. But because the paper was so thick, it was very difficult. One down, about 1,000 more to go. Once I had those all cut out, I am just using a glue stick and gluing on all the leaves all over the page. And from what I'm hoping, this is going to make a really cool texture because I would hate to restart all over again. Now I'm going to be taping the sheets on top of this paper temporarily. And now we're going to start coloring. I'm using red yellow and green kind of fall colors to color in the leaves, and I definitely think this looks better than our first attempt. Once everything was all colored in, I was pretty satisfied. I untaped everything and now I'm gluing it back into the book. I'm taking a black pencil and tracing around the area where the words are just to make it look a little better. And then I roughly started tracing out a tree on the the left side of the page, and a nice quote on the right side of the page that I thought was very appropriate for this page. It says, "Leaves are falling, autumn is calling." Now using a marker, I'm going to color in the trees and the quote, and because it is a 2-layered page now, it will not bleed through. Of course, I remembered last minute that I didn't add my heart yet, so I am adding it to the writing of falling on the quote. So I think this page looks really great, but I can't say the same about my hand.